Massive stones placed by ancient hands hold a secret language of the stars. These stone alignments are humanity's first observatories, silent sentinels that have tracked the sun, moon, and stars for thousands of years. By the end of this journey, you will understand how prehistoric cultures without writing built a lasting calendar in stone. We will uncover how a circle of rocks can predict a solstice sunrise, and why certain stones only align with the moon once every 18 years. What does our own place in the universe look like when seen through their eyes? A researcher stands in a field at dawn, a theodolite carefully positioned before a line of ancient stones. As the sun crests the horizon, its first ray of light shoots directly through a narrow gap between two massive pillars, striking a single marker stone. This precise moment, witnessed thousands of years after the stones were raised, confirms a solstice alignment. This is the work of archaeoastronomy, a field that bridges our modern scientific methods with the celestial knowledge of prehistoric cultures. It asks how people long ago understood the sky, how they used that knowledge, and what role the heavens played in their world. Pioneers like Alexander Thom and Gerald Hawkins brought a new rigor to these investigations. They meticulously surveyed countless megalithic sites across Britain and France, their precise measurements revealing patterns that casual observation would miss. They proposed that these stone circles and rows were not just ritual spaces but deliberate, sophisticated observatories. Their work suggested our ancestors were not merely stargazers but careful astronomers who tracked complex cycles. This field weaves together archaeology, astronomy, and anthropology to read the stories written in stone and sky. One of the most profound concepts they identified was an understanding of precession. This is the slow, gradual wobble of our planet's axis, a cycle that takes nearly 26,000 years to complete. While they may not have understood the physics as we do, the alignment of certain stones with specific stars indicates they observed its effects over generations. They noticed that the stars slowly shifted over centuries, and they built that long-term change into their monuments. How could a culture without a written word develop and preserve such precise astronomical records across so many lifetimes? The answer is found in the silent, enduring architecture of the landscape itself, leading us to the most iconic of all these ancient sky watchers. The great sarsen stones of Stonehenge stand as a testament to this generational effort. Each massive block, hauled from quarries over 20 miles away, was precisely shaped and positioned. The central horseshoe of trilithons, those iconic structures of two uprights capped by a lintel, frames the solstice sunrises and sunsets with breathtaking accuracy. But the astronomical ambition extended far beyond the sun. The 56 Aubrey holes, mysterious pits encircling the monument, may have formed a predictive calendar. By moving stones from hole to hole in a specific sequence, ancient keepers could have tracked the complex cycle of lunar eclipses. This transforms the site from a simple marker of seasons into a sophisticated machine for foreseeing celestial events, a true stone computer built to harmonize earthly time with the rhythms of the cosmos. Such a profound understanding did not emerge in a single lifetime. It was a legacy project, a body of knowledge patiently accumulated and physically encoded into the landscape over more than 50 generations. The very existence of Stonehenge asks us a powerful question. What kind of society commits to a project whose full purpose they themselves may never live to see completed? The answer lies in a worldview where human life, the turning earth, and the moving heavens were all part of a single, interconnected whole. This deep connection between architecture and astronomy is not unique to the British Isles. It appears independently across the globe, wherever ancient people looked up and sought to understand their place in the universe. Across the sea, the scale of this ambition becomes almost unimaginable. Picture the Karnak Alignments in France, a sprawling complex of over 3,000 stones placed in eerily straight rows that march across the landscape for kilometers. To walk among them is to move through a forest of granite, a petrified army standing in silent formation. These stones were raised during the Neolithic period, around 4,500 BC, a project of staggering communal effort. While local legend tells of Roman soldiers turned to stone by the wizard Merlin, the truth is far more profound. Researchers like Jean-Pierre Mohan have proposed that these parallel rows are not random. Instead, they appear to be precisely aligned to the rising and setting points of the moon at its most extreme positions on the horizon, events known as major lunar standstills. This is not a simple calendar marking the days, but a grand, permanent map of the moon's most dramatic and slow-moving cycles. Nearby lies the grand menhir brisé, the great broken stone. Even in its fallen state, it is a colossal presence. Once, it was the largest known standing stone in all of Europe, a towering monolith that may have acted as a central foresight. From specific vantage points, its immense silhouette could have framed the moon as it touched the distant horizon at these rare standstills, events that only occur every 18.6 years. To build such a precise and gargantuan instrument required not only deep celestial knowledge but a society capable of planning for centuries. What other grand designs did these ancient engineers create to map the cosmos on such a monumental scale? Let's travel to a site where the stones themselves form a massive calendar etched directly into the earth. Deep within the rolling green hills of Ireland, a different kind of celestial machine lies hidden beneath the earth. The Great Passage Tomb of Newgrange is a silent hill older than Stonehenge and even the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Built around 3,200 BC, its most breathtaking secret is revealed only for a few precious minutes at dawn on the winter solstice. As the sun crests the horizon, a single, narrow beam of light penetrates a specially constructed opening above the entrance, known as a roof box. This shaft of sunlight travels down a long, dark passageway, creeping slowly across the stone floor until it dramatically illuminates the inner chamber for exactly 17 minutes. Then, as swiftly as it arrived, the light vanishes, leaving the tomb in darkness for another full year. Professor Michael J. O'Kelly, who led the site's reconstruction, was the first in modern times to witness this event, confirming its intentional design. This was far more than a tomb. It was a powerful symbol of rebirth and renewal, a place where the sun itself seemed to conquer the long, dark winter. The entire structure is a masterpiece of architectural astronomy, its precision demonstrating a profound understanding of the solar cycle. The roof box itself is a feat of engineering, perfectly angled to capture that one specific sunrise, proving its builders possessed not just observation skills but the technical ability to translate celestial knowledge into enduring stone. The mystery deepens when you look at the stones themselves, covered in intricate, swirling spiral carvings. Some researchers suggest these patterns might map the movements of the sun, moon, or stars, representing a complex cosmology that we can no longer fully decipher. While their exact meaning is still debated, they underscore a universal human impulse, the desire to connect the rhythms of our lives with the grand cycles of the cosmos. This interplay of light, stone, and ceremony shows a shared vision that spanned continents. From the solstice alignments of Western Europe, this celestial conversation echoes across the Atlantic, where ancient cultures in North America engineered their own stunningly precise connections to the sky. High on a windswept Wyoming plateau, a stone wheel lies open to the heavens. The Bighorn Medicine Wheel, with its 28 spokes radiating from a central cairn, is a perfect geometric form etched onto the rugged landscape. For centuries, indigenous plains peoples have known this place as a sacred site of ceremony and vision. Its stones are smaller and its construction more recent than the great European megaliths, yet it speaks the same silent language of the sky. Anthropologist John A. Eddy carefully mapped its alignments, discovering that specific cairns positioned around the wheel's rim point with uncanny precision to the rising and setting sun on the summer solstice. But the alignments reach even further beyond our solar system to the stars themselves. Key spokes target the heliacal risings of brilliant stars like Aldebaran and Sirius, the moment they first become visible in the dawn sky after a period of invisibility. This was not just a calendar, it was a celestial clock that synchronized human activity with the cosmos, signaling the time for communal hunts, seasonal movements, and sacred rituals. The knowledge required to build it was not written down but preserved and passed with great care through oral tradition, a living thread connecting generations to the land and the sky above it. This wheel embodies a worldview where the practical and the spiritual are one, where understanding a star's return was essential for both physical survival and spiritual connection. Its existence so far from Karnak and Stonehenge proves a profound truth. The drive to map the heavens and mark our place within them is a universal human impulse, a shared legacy written in stone across the entire globe. How did these diverse cultures, separated by vast oceans and millennia, achieve such precision without the advanced tools we take for granted? The answer lies in a simple but revolutionary technology, one that turned the entire horizon into a giant measuring device. These ancient astronomers possessed a toolkit of elegant simplicity, using the world itself as their laboratory. Picture a lone observer at dawn, year after year, placing a wooden stake in the ground to mark where a particular star first appears above a distant hill. Over time, a line of these stakes would form, creating a permanent record of the star's slow, creeping journey along the horizon. This was the heart of their method, patient observation translated into physical markers on the landscape. They used notched tally sticks to count the days between lunar phases and erected poles to study the shifting lengths of noonday shadows, tracking the sun's ascent and decline through the seasons. Their most sophisticated tool may have been a simple length of cord, knotted at consistent intervals. Researchers like Alexander Thom proposed that this cord defined a standard unit of measurement, a megalithic yard, which was used to lay out stone circles across vast distances with a shared mathematical language. This was not guesswork, it was a form of practical geometry and precise engineering. How could such knowledge be preserved without a single written manual? The answer lies in the most resilient technology of all human culture. Celestial cycles were woven into the fabric of daily life, encoded in stories, songs, and seasonal rituals. An elder teaching a child the story of the winter star was not just sharing a myth, they were passing down a critical data point for survival, ensuring that the knowledge of when to plant or when to move to winter grounds would endure for another generation. This oral tradition was a living library, meticulously maintained and verified by the community. The true genius of these early scientists was their profound understanding of the cycles they were devoted to tracking. They sought to harmonize human time with cosmic time, reconciling the sun's annual journey with the moon's more complex monthly dance. They tracked the 19-year Metonic cycle, where the phases of the moon repeat on the same calendar dates, and the even longer 18.6-year cycle of the lunar standstills. Their monuments became permanent clocks, built to outlast any individual memory, capturing these grand celestial rhythms in unyielding stone. A long row of stones can become a perfect solar calendar. On the equinox, the shadow cast by one standing stone stretches out to precisely touch the base of the next. In that silent moment, the year is divided into two equal halves of light and dark. This was the solar cycle, the sun's annual journey from its highest arc in the summer sky to its lowest path in the depths of winter. For ancient farmers, this rhythm was everything. It told them when to sow seeds as the days grew longer and when to harvest as the light began to fade. Their entire survival was synchronized with this celestial clock. The Mnajdra Temple in Malta is a masterwork of this principle. Built over 5,000 years ago, its main axis is oriented so that on the spring and autumn equinoxes, the first ray of sunrise streams directly through the doorway, casting a blade of light onto a specific stone altar deep inside the sanctuary. This was not a coincidence. It was precise engineering designed to mark a moment of perfect balance in the natural world. The solstices, the turning points of the year, were marked with even greater drama. At the winter solstice, the sun reaches its southernmost point, the day of least light. At Newgrange, this was the signal for a beam of sunlight to pierce the inner darkness, a promise of the sun's return and the rebirth of the land. These events were far more than practical markers. They were woven into the spiritual fabric of society, powerful symbols of life, death, and renewal that connected the community to the cosmos. Yet the dependable, steady sun was only half of the celestial story. The moon's movements were far more complex and unpredictable, a dance that required an even more sophisticated and patient kind of record-keeping to fully understand. The moon's path is a story of beautiful complexity, a celestial dance far more intricate than the sun's steady annual trek. At the Callanish Stones in Scotland, on a clear night during a major lunar standstill, the full moon seems to skim just above the southern horizon, its glowing disk perfectly framed between the dark, silent pillars. It does not simply rise and set in the same place each night. Instead, its rising and setting points slide slowly back and forth along the horizon over an 18.6-year cycle. At the peak of this cycle, the moon reaches its most extreme northerly and southerly positions, events known as the major standstills. Then, for roughly a year, the moon appears to pause at these limits, rising and setting in nearly the same spots before beginning its long slide back. This is the moon's great wobble, a slow oscillation that required ancient astronomers to think in timescales far longer than a single human life. Alexander Thom's meticulous surveys revealed the incredible precision with which these cycles were tracked. He studied sites like the solitary stone at Kintraw, positioned high on a Scottish hillside. From this specific vantage point, an observer would see the midwinter sun set behind a distant mountain peak. But more remarkably, a narrow notch in the far hills acts as a perfect gun sight, aligned to the point where the moon would set at its southernmost extreme during a major standstill. To identify such a precise alignment, visible only once every 18.6 years, required generations of dedicated observation and record-keeping. This was not a task for a lone stargazer. It demanded a stable, organized society capable of preserving exact knowledge across centuries, passing the position of a notch on a distant horizon from elder to apprentice for longer than most modern institutions have existed. Why commit to such a long-term project? The moon's influence was woven into the very fabric of survival and belief. Its pull governed the ocean tides, crucial for coastal communities. Its phases provided a reliable, visible calendar for tracking time, and its cyclical return from darkness to light linked it powerfully to ideas of fertility, growth, and regeneration. To understand the moon's elusive path was to gain a measure of predictability over the natural world. This profound lunar knowledge represents one of the highest achievements of prehistoric science. Yet some cultures set their sights even farther, turning from our nearby moon to the distant, unwavering stars, seeking an even more permanent map of the heavens. While the sun and moon marked the rhythms of the year, the fixed stars offered a more permanent map. On a clear, dark night in ancient Egypt, the first pre-dawn reappearance of the brilliant star Sirius would have been a moment of profound significance. As it rose heliacally just before the sun, its gleam piercing the horizon could have been sighted across a specific alignment of stones, signaling the imminent, life-giving flood of the Nile River. This was not just stargazing, it was celestial forecasting on a grand scale, where a star's return dictated the agricultural and ceremonial calendar of an entire civilization. This deep stellar knowledge required an understanding that the stars themselves are not truly fixed. Their positions slowly drift over centuries due to the subtle wobble of our planet's axis, a phenomenon known as precession. To build monuments aligned with specific stars meant the builders were working with knowledge accumulated and corrected over many generations, a long-term celestial tradition watching the sky itself slowly change. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as the ultimate testament to this precision. Its base is aligned to the cardinal directions with an error of less than 1/15th of a single degree. How was such accuracy achieved without modern tools? The most compelling theory points to the circumpolar stars, those that never set but instead circle the north celestial pole. By tracking the rotation of these unchanging sentinels around a central, empty point in the sky, ancient surveyors could have determined true north with breathtaking exactness. This same impulse to connect with the stellar realm appears in the megalithic tombs of Europe. Some, like the sprawling complex at Carrowkeel in Ireland, have passageways precisely oriented toward the rising point of the bright star Capella. Others seem to reference the delicate Pleiades cluster, a group of stars that held deep mythological importance across numerous cultures, often associated with renewal, ancestors, or the cycle of the agricultural year. Tracking these stars meant recognizing their slow, imperceptible crawl across the sky over lifetimes. It implies a sacred duty to preserve this knowledge, a duty that wove the practical science of navigation and timekeeping together with the very stories a culture told about its origins and its place in the cosmos. The stones were not just pointing at lights in the sky, they were anchoring entire mythologies to the earth, making the stories of gods and heroes as permanent and real as the granite itself. These stones were more than simple instruments, they were the pages of a living storybook. An elder might have pointed to a row of pillars, recounting a tale where giants were turned to stone for their defiance, their frozen forms mirroring the constellations that wheeled overhead. This was not mere fantasy, it was a powerful way of remembering. The story of the giants at Callanish encoded a warning, but it also anchored the community's understanding of the moon's long cycle in a narrative they would never forget. Across the ocean, the Big Horn medicine wheel is woven into the oral traditions of Plains peoples. Its 28 spokes linked to stories of the Great Spirit and celestial beings that explain the very origins of the world and the moral code for living within it. These myths were sophisticated mnemonic devices, transforming complex astronomical data into memorable, generation-spanning narratives. The layout of temples and stone rows often mirrors the patterns of the stars, with the constellation Orion, a figure almost universally linked to gods and heroes, frequently reflected in the arrangement of monuments on the ground. This reveals a world-view where the cosmos was not a distant, cold void, but a living, breathing presence intimately connected to every aspect of human life. The landscape itself was a sacred map of the heavens, a fusion of sky and story that guided not only physical navigation but spiritual understanding. The very placement of a stone was an act of writing, inscribing a cosmic order into the earth for all time. What does this deep, symbolic connection tell us about the purpose of these sites beyond their practical function? It suggests they were places where science and spirit were one, where tracking a star was both a practical necessity and a sacred dialogue with the universe. A community gathers in the cold dawn, their breath misting in the air as they face the silent stones. All eyes are on the chief priest, who stands watching a narrow gap between two massive pillars. As the first sliver of the sun breaks the horizon, its light passes directly through that gap, striking a single, waiting stone. The priest turns and declares the sun's return, the turning of the year. In that moment, celestial knowledge translates directly into social power. This was the profound, multi-layered purpose of these alignments. Their primary function was intensely practical, serving as immense agricultural calendars etched into the landscape. The precise alignment with a solstice sunrise was not just a spectacle, it was a critical signal for the entire community. It marked the time to prepare the fields, to sow seeds as the days grew longer, or to gather the harvest as the light began to wane. Their survival was synchronized with these celestial events. But these stones were far more than simple farmers' almanacs. They were ceremonial centers, stages for powerful rituals that connected the community to the cosmos. A midwinter sunrise illuminating an inner chamber was not just a light show. It was a divine performance, a symbol of rebirth and the triumph of light over darkness that reinforced shared beliefs and cultural identity. The very scale of their construction reveals a complex society. To move a multi-ton stone required the coordinated effort of hundreds of people, directed by a centralized authority. This was not the work of a scattered band of hunter-gatherers, but of an organized culture with specialized roles, from engineers and astronomers to laborers and spiritual leaders. The individual who could predict the sun's return or the moon's standstill held immense influence, their authority derived from a perceived connection to the heavens. This knowledge unified the community under a common purpose and a shared calendar, turning a disparate group into a cohesive society. Some alignments, positioned on prominent ridges or along ancient pathways, may have also served as navigational aids for trade or as territorial markers, their imposing presence declaring a group's connection to the land and the sky. Yet for all the evidence, a fundamental question remains at the heart of modern archaeology. How can we be certain that a line of stones pointing toward a solstice sunrise is the product of ancient genius and not simply a fortunate accident of nature? The challenge of proving ancient intent lies in the sheer number of stones. With dozens of monoliths at a single site, the possible lines connecting them are nearly endless. It is statistically probable that some of these lines will point to a significant celestial event purely by random chance. This is the core of a fierce academic debate that unfolds not in the field, but in scholarly journals and conference halls. One researcher points to a statistically significant cluster of alignments toward the summer solstice sunrise across multiple sites, arguing it cannot be coincidence. Another counters that the local topography, the simple need for a flat ceremonial space, or even later disturbances could have created these alignments unintentionally. This is not a minor disagreement, it strikes at the very heart of how we interpret the past. Critics like Ronald Hicks offer a vital caution, warning against what he termed astroarchaeology, a practice where enthusiastic modern astronomers might project their own knowledge onto ancient cultures without sufficient archaeological or ethnographic evidence. They ask a crucial question: are we seeing the authentic astronomical practices of a Neolithic society, or are we simply finding patterns we expect to see? This rigorous, often heated debate is actually a sign of a healthy and maturing science. It pushes researchers to demand more than just a compelling alignment. They now seek a convergence of evidence. Does the alignment match known cultural practices from the area? Is it repeated at other sites built by the same people? Are there artifacts or local myths that support a celestial connection? This multidisciplinary approach, weaving together astronomy, archaeology, and anthropology, builds a much stronger case. It transforms a suggestive line of sight into a supported historical fact. This careful scrutiny ensures our understanding is built on a solid foundation of evidence, not just on wonder and speculation. It is this very rigor that now opens the door to the next great leap in understanding, as we turn from the stones themselves to the invisible landscapes that surround them. The debate over ancient intent is now being settled with tools that see through Earth and time. A LiDAR scanner sweeps its laser pulse over a dense, impenetrable forest canopy, and beneath the foliage, a digital model reveals a perfect line of stones no one has seen for centuries. This alignment points directly to the equinox sunrise, a secret held by the landscape until now. Ground-penetrating radar sends waves deep into the soil, mapping buried foundations and hidden post holes that outline ceremonial spaces lost to history. High-resolution drone photography captures sites from impossible angles, revealing geometric patterns and relationships between monuments that are utterly invisible from the ground. These are not just tools for discovery, they are instruments of validation, providing the hard, precise spatial data needed to move beyond speculation. Satellite imagery allows researchers to zoom out to see the big picture. From this God's eye view, a stone circle is no longer an isolated monument. It becomes one node in a vast network connected to other sites by sightlines and ley lines that form a celestial map drawn across the entire countryside. We can now understand that what looked like a random scattering of stones was actually a carefully planned system, a coordinated effort to chart the heavens on a grand scale. Perhaps the most powerful tool is the digital planetarium software that can turn back the cosmic clock. With a few clicks, an astronomer can reconstruct the exact sky that would have hung over Newgrange on the winter solstice 5,000 years ago. They can watch the same stars rise and set that the builders saw, confirming that a passage tomb's entrance was indeed aimed at a specific, meaningful star cluster. This technology does more than prove alignments. It deepens our awe for the Neolithic mind. It reveals the staggering patience and precision of engineers who, with nothing but stone and cord, achieved a level of accuracy we can only now fully appreciate with our supercomputers. Each new scan and simulation brings us closer to a breathtaking realization. This drive to build a calendar in stone to synchronize human life with the cosmos was not an isolated phenomenon. It appears to be a shared chapter in the story of humanity itself. A single map of our world can be overlaid with a breathtaking pattern of sites, from the highlands of Scotland to the deserts of Peru, from ancient Japan to the plains of Mali. Each pin marks a place where a human culture, entirely on its own, raised stones or shaped architecture to speak with the sky. This is not the story of a single brilliant civilization, but a global tapestry woven from a shared, fundamental curiosity. In the American Southwest, the Anasazi carved spiral petroglyphs high on Fajoda Butte. At precisely noon on the summer solstice, a dagger of sunlight slices between two massive slabs, piercing the center of the stone spiral in a perfect alignment of light and shadow. Far to the south, in the Egyptian Sahara, the oldest known astronomical alignment in the world stands at Nabta Playa. Over 7,000 years ago, nomadic cattle herders arranged a circle of stones and sightlines to track the arrival of the summer solstice and the bright stars of the constellation Orion, signaling the coming of vital monsoon rains. These cultures had no contact with each other, yet they arrived at the same profound conclusion that the key to their survival and their understanding of the world was written in the movements of the heavens. This is a powerful example of convergent evolution, not in biology but in human thought. Separated by oceans and millennia, societies independently developed circular formations, solstitial alignments, and horizon calendars. The shared forms suggest a shared logic, a universal human response to the same celestial rhythms. The drive was twofold, deeply practical and profoundly spiritual. Knowing when to plant and when to harvest was a matter of life and death. Navigating vast oceans or trackless deserts required a reliable map written in the stars. Yet beyond survival, the sky called to something deeper within the human spirit. It prompted the great questions of existence, our place in the cosmos, the nature of time, and the forces of creation. By building these monuments, they were not just tracking time, they were seeking meaning, anchoring their lives and their societies to the grand, orderly cycles of the universe. This global legacy of stone and sky asks us a poignant question for our own time. In our modern world of electric light and digital clocks, have we lost a fundamental connection, a silent dialogue with the cosmos that was once central to the human experience? These silent stones stand as a masterclass in resilience and foresight. A modern city planner might look at a monument like Stonehenge and marvel not just at its astronomical precision, but at its sheer endurance. It was constructed entirely from local materials, the great sarcens hauled from nearby quarries, its design intrinsically tied to the landscape it inhabits. There were no supply chains shipping in foreign granite, no machinery that would become obsolete. The builders used what the earth provided, creating a structure that has functioned flawlessly as a calendar and a ceremonial space for over 4,000 years. This is sustainability in its most profound form, architecture built in partnership with the environment, not in opposition to it. The true lesson, however, lies in the timescale of their vision. These were not projects conceived for a quarterly report or even a single ruler's legacy. They were generational endeavors, grand designs that the founders knew they would never see completed. This required a culture that valued the future as much as the present, that fostered a powerful sense of responsibility toward descendants they would never meet. Their calendar was not made of paper that crumbles or data that can be corrupted, but of multi-ton blocks of stone positioned to track cosmic cycles that repeat for eternity. In our current age of rapid consumption and fleeting digital trends, these ancient sentinels pose a quiet but forceful challenge. They ask us what we are building that will last, what knowledge we are preserving, and what kind of legacy we are leaving for those who will come 1,000 years from now. They remind us that true progress is not always about speed, but about synchronizing our rhythms with the long, patient cycles of the natural world. This reflection on legacy brings a pressing, modern concern to the forefront, the fragile state of these very monuments and our urgent duty to protect them. A conservationist's careful hand wipes away a patch of lichen from a stone that has stood for millennia, a silent battle against the slow, relentless forces of decay. These stone sentinels face a quiet crisis threatened by environmental weathering, the expansion of farmland, and the simple, crushing pressure of countless footsteps from well-intentioned visitors. The very climate that has shaped these landscapes is now shifting, potentially altering the precise sightlines to the horizon that were so painstakingly established. While global organizations work to shield famous sites, countless lesser-known alignments stand vulnerable, their stories fading with each passing season. The challenge is profound, balancing the public's right to experience these wonders with the absolute necessity of preserving them. How do we keep a stone calendar legible for another 1,000 years? Part of the answer now lies in light, not stone. Through high-resolution 3D scanning and detailed virtual reconstructions, we can create perfect digital twins of these monuments, preserving their current state for all time. This technology allows anyone, anywhere, to stand in the center of a stone circle at the solstice sunrise, experiencing the alignment without causing a single grain of erosion. It is a powerful tool for both education and conservation, yet the digital copy, for all its precision, can never replace the profound feeling of standing before the real thing, of touching the same stone that an ancient astronomer once leaned against. This is our shared inheritance, a legacy of human curiosity and cosmic connection carved into the earth itself. Protecting it is not just an archaeological duty, but a gift we give to the future, a promise that the silent conversation between stone and sky will never truly end. You do not need a degree in archaeology to help read these ancient stone calendars. An amateur astronomer with a simple smartphone can stand before a forgotten stone row, open a specialized app, and capture the precise moment a setting star aligns with a distant monolith. That single data point, uploaded to a global database, becomes part of a vast collaborative research project. This is the power of modern citizen science, where public participation expands the reach of professional research in ways once thought impossible. Platforms like iNaturalist now host dedicated archaeoastronomy projects, inviting volunteers to upload geotagged photographs and record their observations of solstice sunrises or lunar standstills at local sites. Your weekend hike could contribute to mapping a pattern of alignments across an entire region, a task that would take a single researcher a lifetime. Local archaeology societies frequently organize field surveys, offering hands-on experience in documenting and preserving these fragile monuments. Every photograph, every GPS coordinate, and every recorded alignment adds another piece to the puzzle. Your contribution might be the key piece of evidence that confirms the purpose of an enigmatic outlier stone or deciphers the meaning behind a weathered spiral carving. This transforms the experience from passive observation into active participation, making you a direct part of the ongoing story of human discovery. What long-standing mystery might be solved by a fresh pair of eyes and a curious mind? The legacy of these stones is not locked in the past, it is a living conversation, and now everyone has a voice. The sheer scale of the Avebury complex is almost overwhelming. Encircled by a vast, deep ditch and a towering earthwork bank, this is not merely a circle of stones, it is an entire landscape engineered for celestial connection, a sprawling sanctuary that predates its more famous neighbor Stonehenge. Within its great outer circle stand two smaller, distinct inner circles, each a potential key to a different part of the sky. This was far more than a single observatory. It was a multifaceted instrument for reading the cosmos. Researcher Caroline Malone has proposed that the massive stones of the southern inner circle frame the midwinter sunset, catching the year's last, weakest light as it sinks below the horizon. At the very center of this southern circle stood the obelisk, a towering monolith that may have acted as a giant sundial. Its long, creeping shadow, cast by the sun at different heights through the seasons, could have fallen upon specific surrounding stones, marking the solstices and equinoxes with silent, daily precision. This was a dynamic calendar, its time told by the moving darkness rather than by a shaft of light. But the celestial choreography did not end at the henge's boundary. The West Kennet Avenue, a breathtaking processional path lined with paired standing stones, stretches for over 2 kilometers across the countryside. Its path is not arbitrary. It points directly toward the rising sun on significant days, perhaps the equinoxes. To walk this avenue at dawn on one of these pivotal mornings would have been to participate in a profound ritual, a physical journey guided by the sun's ascent, merging human ceremony with the fundamental rhythm of the solar cycle. The entire complex is integrated with the surrounding landscape, its sightlines incorporating the massive, human-made Silbury Hill, the largest prehistoric mound in Europe. The purpose of this great hill remains one of archaeology's great enigmas, but its presence suggests it may have served as a horizon marker or a symbolic focal point in this vast sacred geography. Avebury was undoubtedly a major regional hub, a place where communities gathered for trade, for ceremony, and for shared astronomical observation. Its immense scale and complexity reveal a society capable of coordinating labor and knowledge on a grand scale, constructing a center where the practical need to track time was seamlessly woven into the spiritual and social fabric of life. This invites us to look even farther afield, to a place where the stones themselves seem to chart the very soul of the universe. The Karnak Alignments at Karnak hold a secret in their gentle curve. While the famous rows appear rigid from a distance, a closer look reveals a subtle, deliberate bend, as if the stones are tracing a slow, celestial path across the landscape. This is not a flaw in their construction, but perhaps the entire point. Detailed surveys have mapped these slight deviations, and some researchers now suggest the curve mirrors the Moon's own journey along the horizon over its 18.6-year cycle. The stones may not just point to the Moon's extreme standstill positions, but actually chart its entire meandering dance between those limits. This transforms the alignments from a simple target into a dynamic, large-scale map of lunar motion. To understand this grand design, you must step back and view Karnak as a single, integrated instrument. The great tumulus of St. Michael, a massive ancient resting place built atop a hill, offers that crucial vantage point. From its summit, the sprawling complex unfolds below. The long rows of stones seem to converge and relate to one another, and isolated monoliths in the distance suddenly appear as precise foresights. This elevated perspective suggests the entire landscape was intentionally engineered, with the tumulus itself serving as a central observatory platform. The individual stone rows, the solitary menhirs, and the communal tombs were not separate creations. They were all components of a cohesive cosmic map, each part playing a role in a unified system of timekeeping and ceremony. Decoding this system is a monumental puzzle. Was a particular stone row aligned to catch the first gleam of a specific star, while its curved neighbor tracked the wandering moon? Did the placement of a tomb's entrance frame the winter solstice sunset? Each new geological survey and digital simulation brings a potential answer, yet the full meaning of Karnak's grand design continues to challenge us. This painstaking work is not just about mapping stones. It is about comprehending the mind of a Neolithic engineer who saw the earth and the sky as two halves of a single, magnificent whole. A single spiral carved into a stone at Newgrange might be a map of the moon's path, a symbol of the sun's rebirth, or a depiction of the soul's journey. These enigmatic symbols, etched by Neolithic hands, are the other half of the language written in the alignments themselves. While the grand architecture tracks the mechanics of the sky, the art expresses its meaning. Across Europe, from the tombs of Ireland to the standing stones of Brittany, a recurring vocabulary of forms appears. Cup and ring marks, concentric circles pecked into rock, could chart the phases of the moon or the shimmering patterns of stars. Meandering zigzags might represent flowing water, serpentine spirits, or even the Milky Way's luminous river of light arching overhead. This was not mere decoration, it was a cosmology rendered in stone. On the remote French island of Gavrinis, a profound connection between art and astronomy is sealed inside a dark passage tomb. The entire chamber is a canvas of intricate, swirling patterns, a riot of spirals and curves. For most of the year, these carvings lie in deep shadow, but on the winter solstice, the rising sun sends a beam of light down the passage, its rays briefly illuminating specific symbols. In that moment, the art is not just seen, it is activated, its meaning tied directly to the sun's pivotal return. Researchers like Dr. Miranda Aldhouse Green suggest these symbols formed a shared visual language across vast distances. A spiral in Scotland and a spiral in Portugal likely carried a similar cosmic significance, a recognition of cyclical time, of journeys, and of the fundamental forces of creation and dissolution that played out in the heavens. Interpreting this art is the ultimate challenge, like trying to read a book where we know the alphabet but have lost the dictionary. We can see the patterns, but the stories they tell and the precise data they may hold remain just out of reach. Were these carvings sacred texts, teaching tools for initiates, or perhaps even precise astronomical charts meant to be read by touch in the dark? Each theory offers a glimpse into a mind that saw no separation between the science of the sky and the stories of the soul. The silent stones hold another untold story, one written not just in alignments but in the hands that first charted them. For generations, our mental image of the ancient astronomer has been a solitary male elder gazing at the stars. Yet a closer look at the evidence suggests a far more collaborative picture, where women were likely central to the practice of celestial observation. Their connection to the moon, in particular, would have been profound and deeply personal. The lunar cycle, with its consistent 29.5-day rhythm, mirrors the human menstrual cycle, a fundamental biological clock. In a society attuned to natural patterns, women would have been the natural keepers of this lunar knowledge, tracking its phases as an intimate part of life, fertility, and community well-being. This was not a passive observation, but an active, essential form of timekeeping. Archaeological finds lend powerful support to this idea. The Venus of Lossel, a Paleolithic relief carving from France, depicts a female figure holding a bison horn carved with 13 distinct notches. This is not a random number. 13 lunar cycles nearly match a solar year, suggesting the horn could be a symbolic tally of the lunar months, held by a figure associated with both fertility and celestial reckoning. Such artifacts hint at a role for women as priestesses, shamans, or wise women, individuals who interpreted the moon's dance for the benefit of their people. This perspective is further strengthened by looking at living indigenous traditions, where women are often the primary custodians of detailed stellar lore, passing down knowledge of constellations and seasonal calendars through generations. Re-examining the past through this inclusive lens does more than just add women to the story. It transforms our understanding of the entire endeavor. It reveals prehistoric astronomy not as a solitary, male-dominated science, but as a deeply integrated practice where different forms of knowledge, held by all members of a community, were woven together. The intellectual and spiritual life revolving around the cosmos was likely a collaborative tapestry, richer and more diverse than we once supposed. This shift in perspective makes the enduring legacy of the stones feel even more human, a testament to the collective mind of an entire society seeking harmony with the heavens. The future of this field may lie deep beneath the waves, off the coasts of ancient lands like Doggerland, now submerged by the North Sea. Stone arrangements could rest on the seabed, preserving the celestial knowledge of early Holocene cultures who tracked the sky from a landscape now lost to the ocean. These potential sites represent a vast, unexplored frontier, hinting at chapters of human history we have only just begun to suspect. beyond the coastlines, entire continents hold untold stories. The high plains of Central Asia, the dense river systems of Africa, and the remote valleys of South America are all landscapes where new alignments almost certainly await discovery, their meanings perhaps still held within the living oral traditions of local communities. The key to unlocking these secrets will be a new toolkit powered by artificial intelligence. Advanced algorithms could one day process immense global datasets, cross-referencing thousands of stone alignments with ethnographic records and mythological motifs to find subtle, previously invisible correlations across cultures and millennia. This technological leap will be guided by a fundamental shift in methodology, a move toward deep collaboration. The most meaningful discoveries will emerge from partnerships that bring together astronomers with their star charts, archaeologists with their trowels, and indigenous knowledge keepers with their ancestral stories. This interdisciplinary approach promises a more holistic and culturally nuanced understanding, one that respects scientific measurement as deeply as it honors traditional wisdom. The enduring stones have kept their secrets for millennia, and their silent call continues to inspire a new generation of seekers, equipped with both satellites and stories, ready to listen. Standing in the center of a stone circle as the sun sets, you can feel the immense weight of time. The cool granite against your palm is the same surface another hand rested upon thousands of years ago. Above, the first stars appear in a darkening sky, the very same constellations that guided the builders of this place. This is not a journey into a distant past, but a moment of profound connection. These stone alignments are far more than historical curiosities. They are monuments to the timeless human traits of curiosity and resilience, a testament to our eternal quest to find meaning and our place in the vast cosmos. In our modern digital age, saturated with artificial light and instant information, they offer a powerful counterpoint. They remind us of the profound value of direct observation, of patiently watching the world turn, and of learning from the physical reality around us. This legacy urges us to protect one of our most endangered resources, the dark night sky. The fight against light pollution is not just for astronomers, it is for everyone. It is about preserving the universal human right to look up and feel that same sense of wonder that ignited the imagination of our ancestors, to see the Milky Way arching overhead in all its glory. The silent stones pose a quiet challenge to our short-term thinking. They force us to look beyond the horizon of our own lives and ask what we are building, what knowledge we are preserving, and what story our generation will tell to those who come 1,000 years from now. This reflection brings our journey full circle, connecting the ancient builders who looked to the stars for answers with us, their modern interpreters who are still gazing at the same heavens, still asking the very same questions. From the grand scale of Stonehenge to the quiet geometry of the Bighorn medicine wheel, these stone alignments form a global testament to human ingenuity. They are far more than ancient ruins. They are sophisticated records of the sky's movements, embodying a deep spiritual connection to the cosmos that our ancestors shared across continents and millennia. These silent teachers show us the power of long-term thinking, of a society that planned for futures they would never see, embedding celestial knowledge into the very landscape to guide generations yet unborn. Their legacy is a profound reminder of a universal human drive, the need to understand our place within the grand, orderly cycles of the universe and to weave those rhythms into the fabric of daily life, ceremony, and survival. Let these enduring stones inspire you to step outside on a clear night and simply look up, see the same stars, the same moon, the same cosmic dance that guided their hands and hearts. Wonder at the ancient rhythms that continue unimpeded above our modern world. What connections can you find between your own life and the timeless turn of the heavens? If this journey into historical mysteries has sparked your curiosity, we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to continue exploring the world's great enigmas with us. Remember, the very same sky that they mapped with such care and devotion still arches over us all, a living link to every human who has ever looked up in wonder.